Im Fluid Life Expert Talk sprechen wir mit ExpertInnen über betriebliche Mobilität, Ressourcenmanagement und echte Use Cases.
Hello and welcome to our Expert Talk. On today's episode, we are addressing the practical implementation of mobility hubs. Moving beyond the abstract industry terminology, our focus is on how we can transform existing infrastructure into efficient, attractive, multimodal hubs. Successful deployments requires a complex alignment of stakeholders, real estate, operational frameworks, data, and experience strategy. I'm very pleased to welcome our guest, Klara, Business Development Manager at SKIDATA. Hello.
Hello, Michael.
Klara has been deeply involved in shaping SKIDATA's next wave mobility solutions and is the co-author of a comprehensive new white paper on mobility hubs. Thank you, Klara, for joining us today to share your expertise.
Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting and making the topic, putting the topic out there, let's say, because I obviously agree that it's interesting and important to talk about it.
Great. Then let's dive into it. SKIDATA is traditionally known for access and parking solutions. Everyone has come into touch with them in different areas. When did mobility hubs become a strategic topic for you, and what made you realize that this is more than just parking with like an extra service on top?
So after I joined SKIDATA about 3 years ago, one of my tasks was to exchange a lot more with the cities and also think about the wider smart city strategy, etc. And as I kept talking to the cities at the various events, for example, organized by the EIT Urban Mobility, mobility hub was a topic that always kept popping up at the various talks. And some people already had some experience, some people knew very little about it, some people had a lot of experience. But there was one common thing. There was a lot of need for sharing the knowledge, because it seems the topic is very complex, and the topic also can be a solution to many arising city problems. And then I thought, okay, what is our position on mobility hubs? What do we actually do already? As you mentioned, we are the kind of the leader in the access solution. So it's like, okay, mobility hubs is a lot about controlling access. So naturally, that's a good fit. And we already have projects where we delivered mobility hubs. But what is there beyond, and how else can we facilitate let's say, the development of the mobility hubs, and how do they spread and grow? So that's why we decided to actually take a look. And since I said and also to be frank and honest, I have not studied mobility hubs, and I don't consider myself any super expert or anything. I was really curious about the topic, like genuinely curious. And I was thinking why something that's so obviously needed is actually quite hard to deliver sometimes. So then I was given was lucky enough to be given a go. So yeah, have a look at it, do some research, and to have really good founding on how we shape our direction, and so that we can put our place and see, okay, what can we actually do to help our customers to do it better and more efficiently. So that's why we looked into it. That's why we did the study, which was done with, I don't remember anymore, 14, I think it was in-depth interviews with about 14 different interviewees. And we had a group of, let's say, academics who are really into the topic. So we went through some of the materials with them to kind of suck out the digest, let's say. Then we had the operators of the hubs, and then we had the cities, and we had also some public transport operators as well, so that we get the different perspectives to shape what is really important and how to take it to the next step. So that's how we long answer.
That's great.
To how we got to it, why it's interesting for us.
So like mobility hubs is not a new terminology. I came across this topic once and sometimes. What are the reasons? But I noticed that there is some new attention to it, some new movement, you could say. And what do you think are the drivers behind it, that the industry and actors are picking this topic up again and are becoming active again?
As you said, it's been around for a while. So in our research, I think we found early mentions in like even 1600s in Netherlands. And it's always about a scarcity of space and how you get from A to B most efficiently. Can you get there, and how is your also experience looking like? So, and as you said, they keep coming back as a topic every now and then. But I think mostly what's driven now is the two key drivers I would point out. Again, the space scarcity, because that remains, especially in the cities. As the cities are growing and they are becoming more dense, then it's becoming again a topic. So density is a problem, and mobility hub could be one of the solutions of how to facilitate the movement around the city. And the emissions pressure as well. So as in various cities, you have the emission zones, whatever they are called, low emission zone, zero emission zone, electric vehicles only zone, delivery only zone. So that's another topic. Zones are suddenly popping up everywhere, right? And so how do you manage these zones? How do you, I don't know, comply with the legislation, with the new regulations that you have to? So again, Mobility Hub could or can be a good part to help in complying with that topic. So I think as increasing amount of cities are under pressure, the spaces are, look around. When I was walking in, I couldn't find a single on-street spot. Not that I needed it, I just pay attention. Since I'm in the parking, you see how parking looks like. And the capacity is not there. Another movement, cities are trying to minimize and regulate more the on-street parking and the usage of the on-street. So where do you move the cars? So again, it sounds like now Mobility Hub is answer to everything in my professional life. But then it keeps coming back that a Mobility Hub can be a good solution. So think about it, because that space already exists. So there are parking infrastructures, there are parking spaces, lots, etc. They are already in the city, they are there available. So let's have a look at it. Could you utilize it better? Or is it already overutilized? Is it underutilized? If it's underutilized, what can you bring there? Can you do more things with it for the people? So it's kind of obvious to have a look or what you have and see how else you can use it.
It seems that some cities have noticed this topic and also see the potential. That's why you can see some strategic topics, papers around that. But when you look at sort of the results in terms of how many mobility hubs you see implemented, it seems still some gap between. And it seems that it's still quite hard to then really become sort of bring it into reality. What are the sort of the big hurdles from strategy to kind of creating and implementing mobility hubs?
So from the research, when we talked especially with the cities that are either planning it or have done it, the biggest let's say blocker isn't really the money or lack of vision or the technology even. It's the stakeholder alignment. Because if you imagine it's a hub, it's a parking structure or something that you're saying, okay, who owns it? Who operates it? Who has any sublease in it? Who uses it? So, and you will come very quickly to quite a long list of stakeholders that you need to consider and align. And if you're saying, I will now change something, or I wanna redesign how it should be used in the future, you have to bring all these stakeholders together. And remember, the more stakeholders, the more misaligned targets you might have. So everybody has their target. Why are they there? What are they doing, etc. So there has to be a common goal, let's say. Everybody has to be, in simple words, on the same page. And quite often also there is no single owner of the user experience. So then you have to align the vision, the targets, still make that people make, or that the parties are happy with the, let's say, the business cases as well. And on top of that, consider the user experience. So a lot of layers to consider.
So from the organizational point of view, it's quite complex in terms of stakeholders, but from the sort of user point of view, it has to be still a simple experience. And this match, that's basically the difficult part for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You mentioned already about the parking spaces and facilities, and clearly with your background and company background, parking is an important part. When we look at discussions about mobility, sustainability, and so on, often parking is treated as something we have to get rid of rather than being part of a solution. How do you answer such a question in terms of why parking is part of the solution rather and not more like, let's get rid of parking and make space for what are cycling lanes or something like that?
So it always has to come to what are your use cases and who are your users in the end. So who do you cater for? Who do you design for, and what they do? Do you really want to get rid of parking as a city? Will it make the people that come to your city and spend money, make business there, live there, is it gonna make them happy? And you also, in a city point of view, vote for you. Are they gonna do the businesses will they want to have headquarters or branches and stuff if their employees would have daily struggle coming in? And of course, then you have to match it with what is your regulation and the bigger picture, how that one part plays within the entire ecosystem. But obviously, I might have parking goggles on. I cannot take them off anymore.
Of course.
But parking, as you said, needs to be seen as the crucial part of the solution, not as the problem. So if you sort out, we really believe that if you sort out the parking policy, considering all your user groups, then you are largely addressing your mobility challenges that you might have. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of solutions. You have to think about the use case, the experience, and then the technology is there. It comes as a second. The technology is always somehow there. You know it from your daily business.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think also what we know from the mobility point of view is that it's not always black and white, or it's the one is the only one and the other is not relevant, but it's always about how to cater for as you mentioned, for the different target groups and bring it together and connect it together. What you also mentioned before is about the user experience in itself as a really important piece in the puzzle about making this work. So how would you define, now let's look at the sort of the user, and how would you define sort of a perfect user journey in the context of mobility hubs? If you take, let's say, someone who is commuting, or maybe also in the context of tourism, like when you take a tourist, how would they, in the ideal world, experience such a mobility hub?
Yeah, good question. When I was thinking about it, I was like, what is my ideal experience? And then I thought, actually, it's not about having things neatly placed, the scooters in a row, that they're not lying all over around. That doesn't really change my behavior if I'm going to use it or not. It's actually, and as I said, I was thinking about it when arriving, it's actually about the upfront information as well. And I think that applies to the daily commuter and also tourist. So what makes you more confident and less stressed? If you know what's going to happen, if you can quickly find out upfront, right? Also this morning when I drove to the Bahnhof garage, there was, on one hand, that it's full, and I was already, oh no, I didn't plan that much buffer, and the other one was free. And
Okay.
I only saw it when I was arriving. If I could check it at home and already plan a little bit better, you know, if you have the information up front, because when I get there, it's too late. So it's about facilitating the planning of the journey. And we see that and if you're tourists, you would feel the same, that you know what to, okay, if I go to Salzburg, there is a new regulation that I cannot go to the city center if I don't have the license plate, the local one. So you want to know, okay, where do I leave my car? What is my option to go further? Exactly. Can I have one ticket for everything? Can I have one ticket for parking and the access and the public transport? And if you make that easy, simple, and plannable, I think that's the user experience that I would want to have. So I mean, since we're also active not just in just parking management, but also in the stadia and attractions, we have seen this on the scale, right? So when you talk to stadia, for example, or when they do concerts, you know what is the most searched phrase 2 to 1 day before the event?
I guess arriving there.
Where can I park?
Where can I park?
It's the highest search term, of the ticket holders. This comes from Netherlands. This data from one of our partners, and they're saying from the ticket holders that we're managing, the most search term, like even 24 hours before, where can I park? So exactly this planning, this making it available, these pre-reservations, and also sending people information on the day. I don't know, this the main parking lot there is a traffic jam or whatever. Don't even bother going. You will miss the concert or the kickoff or whatever. That's gold. That makes your experience. So if you know there is a hub 5 kilometers that way, leave the car, there is a shuttle, you can use your entry ticket for all of it.
Perfect.
This is the experience.
Absolutely. So to phrase it maybe from the opposite side, so uncertainty is basically the killer for a good experience. If you're uncertain if it works out, if you will get there in time, if you will find a parking lot, if you have a shuttle that brings us there, that it's included into that ticketing, I think that's what you need. And if you don't have it all together, then of course you will not go there, will not use it, or will, I don't know, find other means, which of course is not in the interest of everyone.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that.
I mean, that's the point of view. You can obviously, other group of people would say something else, but from the experience, from talking to various stakeholders, this is and also my personal input spin on it. So that's why we're trying to make the data available for our customers so they can then further send it and further use it for the end users.
Earlier in our discussion, you mentioned, when we talked about sort of the complexity and the difficulty of creating mobility hubs, that you have different types of stakeholders. Who do you see sort of as the key stakeholders, their roles, and especially what do you see sort of who should be responsible now in the end for operating such a mobility hub? Is this a clear picture, or is it different depending on the case?
So the biggest challenge is always, as we discussed before, creating this aligned action. And I would see kind of 3, 4 maybe key party clusters. As I said, there's an endless list. You can have endless list of stakeholders. So there you would have cities, obviously, who should set the policy framework and kind of regulate and have the big picture. They have certain public investments, and never forget the public-private partnerships. So there's also one aspect which seems to be kind of a what do you call it, like not a breaking point, but somehow I had a feeling that there is from both parties, they somehow don't come so well together. That there's a silo. There's a private silo and there is a public silo. But again, if you think about your Bezirk here, how many? So it's your public streets, and how many private for example, private parking lots and garages you have here. And
So
should the city be able to somehow, should they talk together, you think, so to get the cars from off the street and into the lots, etc.? So I think they should, and some cities agree, but sometimes they need to be encouraged to go and talk. You need to sit on one table and have this public-private discussion on what can you do together, because we're all together occupying or managing one city space.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna inflate it, you know. So it's one bezirk, one space. So you have to think about all the spaces where you can tap into and how well to manage it. So as I said, the city, the site owners, parking operators, then technology partners like us, for example. For example, the MaaS platforms where you also would have experience, journey planners, so the end customer facing facing partners. So just the number of key partners to then come together and make that happen, I would say.
And sort of would be the city the sort of the facilitator of that alignment, like sort of, because typically, as I've understood it correctly, they would be the ones who create also the strategy, the policy for it. And would they be also sort of the natural facilitators of that sort of public and private partnership or alignment or operations?
I think it has to, where there is a will, there is a way, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it doesn't always have to be, and when we did the research, it was in, I don't know, I think 8 different countries. And when we saw really different types of models, we see it also in our implementation. So in some of our customers, cities sometimes drive it, and they are the ones driving not just the policy, but the implementation, they're the driving force, or state-owned organizations, like in Belgium, where we have the use case with NMBS, which is the national rail, where we have, I think, close to 90 different sites, which can be called as mobility hubs, where we also manage the user experience with the mobility tickets, let's say. And then you have, now I lost a little bit my trail. I knew when it will happen.
If the city would be the natural facilitator.
Yeah, that's right, city. Yeah. So you would have city, the other agencies, or again, an example from Netherlands, so one of the biggest operators, Q Park, who is really actively driving the mobility hubs, not just topic, but they're really implementing it, and they have a lot of them, and they have not just with SKIDATA, they have other equipment as well. So it could be also the operator operating these structures, because they see it. Okay, how can I help?
To see the need basically from the user's point of view.
Exactly, because they see the daily struggles of the user, right?
Exactly.
They are themselves a user as well. So they're trying to make things better. So it's different, out of different needs, you have different parties that can drive it. But eventually there needs to be a common
goal and understanding, of course. Yeah, exactly. I think when we talk about implementation, clearly one topic that just comes naturally to it is about the costs and who pays for such hubs in creating them, in operating them. Are there business models already in place that you have seen in your studies that you say that could be models that other cities or operators can apply? What is your experience from that point of view?
So usually we came across 3 streams. So kind of, if you want to just pure income streams or revenue streams. And there would be transaction fees. So the typical obviously for parking, for shared mobility, and there's also subscriptions. Then space as a service. So that you realize there is a space and I don't know, it's underutilized, I don't get so much parking because, or it's too difficult or something, so I give it to someone who will use that space and pay me for that space. So square footage rental, that sort of thing. And there could be also data monetization at some point. I would, however, personally see, or what I've observed mostly, especially with in discussions with cities, the data is highly crucial for further planning and information and adjustment and improvement. Because if you then can have a look at it, what's actually happening and how people use it. Did it work how I wanted to? Or is there something different happening? So how can I improve it? How can I make it better? How can I make it more efficient? So the data monetization, yes, in some cases, but the value is more in the creating the efficiency.
Sort of in an iterative fashion to learn and improve.
Exactly.
Okay.
And of course, we've touched upon it a little bit before in the discussion, not to forget, which I think a lot of businesses or even public authorities, when you're thinking about the project and the implementation, you have to calculate also the total cost over the years, also including saving and the efficiencies. So this comes back to creating efficiency, and can you maybe manage the larger number of locations with less people when you implement ABC. So, and if you do things digitally, for example, again coming a little bit to the NMBS example, where they have so many locations, they have payment machines, they have hardware, software, and they manage it, I think, with 6 people, remotely. Everything fully remotely with 6 people. I don't know what it was before, but I mean, you can always calculate what is it now, running cost-wise, and what is it gonna be, and do you have savings? If you have savings, then you can calculate it in your business case.
As part of the business case. Okay, I understand. Yeah. We talked a lot about cities, dense space in cities, and how mobility hubs can facilitate the mobility and improve the mobility there. When we kind of zoom in a little bit and look at maybe campuses of, I don't know, let's say, for example, universities or other type of campuses, or maybe even company grounds, can this model of mobility hubs be applied to them as well? Is there anything they can learn from sort of city mobility hubs?
Campuses, you mean, like university campuses, for example, or business campuses? Well, definitely. I mean, it's again, the same logic applies, right? It's a space management. The space is expensive and scarce. So it's a similar, let's say, logic that can be applied. For the company campuses, I think you have the same experience because you're dealing with same topics as in your company, mobility budgets, right?
Absolutely.
That can be replacing company cars, certain mobility budget and incentives, where you motivate people, motivate the employees to come in 2 in 1 car, 3 in 1 car, then they get higher reservation quotas and all that. So of the logic of how well you can manage your space most efficiently for your target group, obviously that
applies also to
across
any type of sort of stakeholder or group of actors. When now someone says, could be a city now, or someone who is operating a campus, when they decide and say like, that sounds interesting, and we want to manage our space better, it's time to create a mobility hub and maybe test one as a first step. Is there something like a playbook? Like how could they, or where should they start? What should they do? Do you have some sort of guidance in that sense?
I actually did get a question from one of the interviewees.
Okay.
It's like, we planned this and this, but please, if you have any 10-step guide, could you send it to me? I said, well, not yet, but
so maybe. Do you have a 10-step guide now?
I don't have a 10-step guide. I have some key points. And they are not, I'm not going to say anything new that we haven't said already before. So what is the motivation? So clarify, why do you want to do this? What is the problem that you're actually trying to solve, right? Why do you want change? Why? What is the problem? And who are the user groups? Kind of walk the existing journey yourself and say, how do you want that to be changed? So don't assume. I always like to, wherever I go, I try to hit the microphone. I try to really experience it myself.
Yeah.
So I know, okay, do I like it? Is it good, or is it not so? So we have heard also a funny anecdote during the interviews. Everybody was saying, yeah, there are a lot of tests have been done, you know, a lot of experiments. 9 out of 10 experiments tend to fail. We have to know how it is about scaling. And then one of them said, well, I saw a hub, or kind of the traditional transport hub, that has been designed, and it actually made you drop the car, and then you had to walk like across really busy road to be connected to public transport. And there was not even a zebra, and not any underpass or anything. So that, like, physically, you know, it was not really thought through. So it was kind of bound to fail, because the experience design, let's say, was not well connected. Okay. So that's one thing. That's why I say do it yourself, and see how you want to design it and what you need to improve.
So don't just sit at the table and plan, but also go out there and see what it means to experience it yourself.
And is it possible physically as well? Identify the user groups and the local needs. So as we said, stakeholders, who are they? Are we going to bring them to the same vision? Is there something for everybody as well? Yeah, are they going to have business case, etc.? This has to be win-win-win situation in the end. Map available spaces and assets, obviously. What you can do, what you can use. Are you talking about just one small area? If you're really limited and you're already seeing this will not make my case and make myself happy, what is around me? Can I enlarge it? Can I use other spaces and connect with other partners? And then choose also services appropriate for that location. So when we're talking about hubs, it's not only about park and ride, but also about what other services you can have in the location, or that you want in the location, or that you want because of the use cases you want to deliver that are necessary for the people. So those would be, I would say, kind of the key points. And we're both technological companies, and I leave the technology in the end, because I think we both can agree that the technology is there. Yes, involve technology and operations early.
Absolutely, yeah.
Think about it, but you don't have to be restricted by technology, right? I don't know if you agree.
Absolutely.
guess.
Yeah, see technology as an enabler.
Exactly.
Technology, and we have fantastic technology already. You can use it and facilitate it, but clearly the other topics are the ones that really drive it, and technology has to support you in that goals.
Exactly. And if you think about the use case and the user experience, you inherently somehow underlining, you think about the technology, because you know what you want. You know, you want the one pass or one ticket or the seamless, so that you don't make people download 10 different apps in a mobility hub, to do all the things. No one's gonna do that. That's not really gonna drive your adoption high. So think about it, but don't let yourself be restricted by it. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. I think that's a lot of good points. I think that someone can take with them and use them in implementing concrete mobility hubs. I think that brings us already quite close to the end. Maybe as a last question, if you look a bit into the future, what do you sort of, I wouldn't say it now trend, but kind of when you think into the future, what do you see, let's say in, I don't know, 5 years time in terms of mobility hubs, what will be happening in that space from today to then? Is it the experience that will improve, or what is the most visible element there?
I hope it will be experience that will improve. That's what we're both, I think, trying to achieve. That the user experience, the kind of the connected, seamless user journey and the experience should improve. And if I can have, it's probably more than 5 years in the future, but my other topic that I really love is obviously looking at involvement of autonomous mobility. And there are some of the autonomous, also public transport, buses and shuttles are quite well on the way. And okay, not so much in Central Europe with the private cars, but it is coming. And I always like to say that I cannot wait until I will tell my car, oh, I'll just get out here and go and park yourself somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll see you when I summon you again.
Yeah.
But as I said, this is more of a wish to not 5 years, I guess, but that's would be in a private transportation also the ultimate goal.
Fantastic. Klara, thank you very much for coming and talking to us about the mobility hubs. And if there's any questions, they definitely can find you and, of course, bring questions to you.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.